full-time real estate investor. He is very much recognized in the industry for his creativity, tenacity, and the mindset. He acquires multifamily properties across Canada, US, and Brazil, and currently owns and manages a portfolio of 150 plus stores. We'd like to welcome Sandro Ferreira to the show. Welcome, Sandro. How are you doing?
I'm glad to be here. I'm doing excellent, and I'm thrilled with this great moment we have together for the next little while. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for sparing your time. Thank you for coming on board. Okay, so we'd like to start in for our audience and viewers. We'd like to know a little bit about your background, when you came to Canada, and you're from Brazil. So when you came here, what did you do when you come here? And now you moved into or transitioned into real estate investing. So how has that journey been? And now, like with 150 plus doors, managing that portfolio is substantial. So let's dive deep into your story, your personal story.
Yes, I appreciate that. Great question. So I moved to Canada in 2010. I immigrated through the province of Quebec. So when I got here in 2010, I had basic French and I had no English. So even though I built my career in communication, so I was back in Brazil, I worked into the law industry and into financial services and whatnot. So when I moved here, I could not go back and work as a lawyer because I would have to go through the whole process of equivalence and doing the equivalence for my diploma. I could not get into financial services because, of course, having the ability to communicate with clients is essential. And I was fortunate to meet a group of Brazilian friends that at the time they were working as subcontractors for Bell. And I got a job to and literally became a technician installing satellite dishes and the Quebec side here in the Ottawa region. So I do live in the Ottawa region, and I was working on the Quebec side, so Gatineau area and the outskirts. But I came across a book that a lot of investors probably heard about and probably read, that is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes.
And that was the book that literally changed my mind when it comes to building generational wealth through real estate. So then I bought my first property in 2011, bought my second property in 2013, then 2016 I bought another one, and finally at that point the bank turns to me, no more money for you, your TDS, GDS, basically the debt ratio was way too high, get out of here. And I couldn't understand how people still buy real estate if other people, they go through the same challenges. And it's interesting that I had this idea of putting a group of Brazilian friends together, and then we bought a property near a college university here in Ottawa. And the idea was to have the property to rent the rooms for students at the university. Now, this is already 2018. 2019, what happened? Yes, COVID happened. And all of a sudden, our tenants, they are gone.
Yes.
We had to pivot very quickly, because now we had this mortgage to pay.
Yes.
And that's when we focused in modern co-living. So we started then renting properties for young professionals, and we work with a specific niche. Then from there, at this point of my career, I was already working for an HVAC company selling furnaces and air conditioners, making very good money. But then because of COVID, I wasn't allowed to go to any clients' houses anymore.
Yes.
And at that point, talking to my wife, and we made a decision that it was time for me to seek education, to keep learning and oh my goodness, keep learning and getting a better understanding how real estate really works to do professionally. That's when I came across Alfonso Quadra, became my mentor, and everything I learned so far, I've learned with him, and was able to scale my portfolio very quickly. And then, yes, now on paper looks amazing, all these doors, and such a very short period of time, and we go through a lot of learning. So I see the highs of the mountains and the lows of the valleys, but it's part of the journey.
Yes, yes, and that's true, especially in these times, right? Everybody is having some part of the some problem in some part of their portfolio because the interest rates are really not helping anyone with real estate, and it's not just investors; it's home buyers who bought their homes. Now they're struggling to make those payments, right? And everybody I have met recently who bought homes, especially in that COVID timeframe, the 2020 and 2021 years, they are not like 80% of them are working more than one job every day,
Yes.
right? To be able to support and not lose the home. But also, I'm also hearing that, and the data points that I follow, right? In September, they're going to raise it again. And when they're going to raise it again, it's really going to hurt. They really want people to feel the pain.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's helping them, but seems to be
Well,
working.
if you
Like
think about,
they're
I've been reading about, and one of the things that they are saying that's public knowledge,
yes,
that even though they raise the interest rates, trying to hold the inflation that they created,
yes,
but the levels of unemployment are still historically very low,
yes,
which when you have low unemployment,
yes,
you still have the consumer confidence.
yes,
And consumer, when they're confident, what they do? They consume.
yes,
Now, pushing the interest rates a little further, that we're going to see a lot of people losing their jobs, losing their houses, and then we're going to see a retraction in consumption. Therefore, the inflation also goes down. It's very interesting mechanism that they use. So they want to see people struggling. They want to see
yes,
people going to food banks, asking for food. Like,
yes.
very, very interesting how this works.
Unfortunately, they are looking for that. But fortunately enough, they are dealing with the human race, right? Which now is finding ways to work two jobs in a day to survive. And that's why that unemployment rate is not going down
Yes,
because everyone is working two jobs, right?
yes, yes, I can't agree more. And
Yes.
even when I look to myself, I had a very good job as a salesperson at an HVAC company.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, my income suffered significantly
Yes.
because on paper, as I mentioned before, mentioning that I have all these doors can be very impressive. But at the
Yes.
end of the day, what matters is how much capital we're bringing home.
Absolutely.
And I am negative right now. I have like a sizable portion of my portfolio bleeding right now, which
Yes.
doesn't help. And then you have
No,
to be
and
creative and find
trust me, you're
alternatives.
not alone in this. Trust me, you're not alone. There are many investors who are going through this. It's just how the times are and what they're creating, right? So I know it's bad. It's hard, and but there, what I'm also hearing is that it's going to be more pain that's coming. So we need to think of ways to pivot and somehow sustain this time period, which we don't really know what's going to happen next. Because, and I don't think anybody knows.
Anybody knows, and you keep the hopes up, right?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
the greatest challenge that I keep asking myself and people that I know is being comfortable with the idea of going back to zero. So it's a lot of times the gurus mentioning everyone to think bigger and bigger and bigger, which is important because
Yes.
we talk about mindset. But
Yes.
it's equally important the idea of losing everything and then what? Am I
Yes.
going to crawl under the bed and cry? No, I got to do something. So
Yes.
when you get comfortable with the idea, it's more about learning how to fail than how to win. It's very easy when you're winning. It feels good. Everybody's
Yes.
around you. Everybody's your friend.
Yes.
When you are learning, that's when we really separate the kids from men,
Yes, absolutely.
boys from men.
Absolutely. And that's where I was going to next. Like you, I know you're very, very high on the mindset part, right? So in mindset, I wanted to ask you, considering what you're discussing right now, right? The portfolio is bleeding, and but still, how has the mindset helped you maintain that rhythm of that positivity and thinking of new strategies every day to maintain that portfolio and survive and pay your bills as well?
Yes, I always start from positioning ourselves into a reality that is better than the reality we are in. So I really focus on what my future self looks like, and I try to bring the reality into today. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example. What we focus on is actually what's going to happen. You will,
Yes.
and I like the analogy of a sow, like somebody that sows seed. You will plant a seed, and the place that you're planting the seed is the place that
Yes.
you flourish. You cannot plant a seed here and expect to sow the same seed, I don't know, in 10 yards, 15 yards from that
Yes.
place.
Even a step away, right?
You're going to step away, right? So, and when you look into the seed, my wife, she has a garden, and I love to observe because there are some plants that grows tremendously. There are some that do not.
Yes.
And I said, why? Because some seeds, they're going to grow in good soil, and some seeds are going to get in a soil that's not going to grow at all. And then every day that I wake up, I remind, every day that I wake up, I remind myself that I am on this earth for a very short period of time.
Yes.
Therefore, I'm in a mission, right? Because, so I'm turning 47 this month. In approximately 11 days, I'm turning 47.
Oh, happy birthday.
Average, thank you very much. The average lifespan of a man in Canada is about 78 years old. In Brazil, it's even lesser. But let's say I live by the age of 80. Let's call 80. I have, if I do here, basically another 33 years to go. This is not a lot of time.
Yes.
Therefore, if I think about everything I want to accomplish and the amount of time I have, I don't have much left. And some people, they say, this guy is too intense, this energy is too high, very pushy. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, because I'm in a mission. I cannot be distracted. And this is what, when I wake up and the problems, they're right there waiting for me. It's like, hey, problems, I know you're there. 91% of things that we worry about, they actually is not going to happen. So
Yes.
I have individuals that invested with me, and they expect their capital back. And they call me. Every time they call me, I answer the phone. Right? I
Wow.
have two specific situations that are not pretty. And it's interesting because I'm in that position as somebody that borrowed capital to invest, and the creditor, they want their capital, but I'm also in a position that I invested capital in somebody else's deals. So I
Yes.
see the two sides of the coin. So here I am giving, let's say you say, Sandro, where's my money? So these are the things that I'm doing. Those are the assets that I'm trying to liquidate or reposition to give your capital back. I don't have yet, but I'm working on, and I'm communicating. And then on the other side, the one that I am going to say, what is my capital? Crickets. And people don't answer the phone. So it's very interesting. And it's like, well, I don't want to put my investor in the position that I'm putting in with somebody else that invested, right? But having that time, like the mind frame, positioning your mind and feeding yourself, feeding your mind with positivity, feeding your mind with stories of other individuals that have been through that in other times, 2008, for example, 2010, look to the history, right? So then you can predict the future. Say, well, It's not a nice place to be in, but it's not the end. And I will find a solution. And that's how I keep my mind sane.
Absolutely. No. Wow. That's great insight. That's very detailed, great insight that'll help everyone who views and listens to this podcast. Wow. That was really awesome. Okay. Because that's not everybody's state is not that or cannot maintain that state. And I'm very familiar with your energy. Like you are the energy of the room. So no doubt about it. Yes.
But if you think about why immigrants, they
Yes.
have a higher ratio of success than individuals born and raised here. Well, my understanding is that, and I look to my life, I got here in Canada with money to survive a month, 2 luggages, that's all I had.
Yes.
So I had nothing to lose but try and move forward. Like
Yes.
action creates momentum, momentum creates opportunity.
Yes.
Now that I am where I am today, oh my goodness, I have a house, I have a few doors, and then you get the attachment. I can't lose this. And that's when you start seeing people get into the comfort zone and that attachment because they don't want to lose that little thing that they were able to create. But that's when go back to what I said in the beginning. What would you do if you go back to zero and had to start all over again? I will say this. If I see myself in that position, I will build something even greater.
Yes.
Again and again and again and again. Because
Yes.
it's all about the power of creativity and not the circumstances we are in. It doesn't define who we are.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Now, taking a shift from mindset to real estate. Now, I know you specialize in co-living and that's luxury co-living. So can you help us understand what kind of luxury co-living do you do and which areas, like are you in Ontario or all Canada, like
No,
across?
so I have this model right here in the Ottawa region because I have
Yes.
a team here. So my 2 business partners that operates with me, and
Yes.
I'm also doing Florida. To be more
Okay.
specific, near to the parks. Just started a project there with my brother. What we do, and again, it started as a need to pivot.
Yes.
So the co-living the way that we do right now was born in a period of crisis because
Yes.
I had to figure it out and pivot. And I literally get a house, single family home or two dwelling units or
Yes.
a 2-story home. And I minimize the living spaces and I convert into bedrooms and I
Okay.
rent them out. And I
Okay.
have a niche. So you can have different niches. You have new
Yes.
Canadians, you have construction workers, you have students, grad students, young professionals, diplomats. You have a range of markets that you can narrow
Yes.
down. So we found a market, we found a niche, and then we narrowed into the niche and we became the reference in the niche. Becoming
Wow.
the reference, now you charge a slightly above market rent because you can
Yes.
deliver and you
Yes.
bring add-on. So if they have a need for house seating, if they have a need for pet seating, if you have a need for transport, there's a lot of other things that you can add and offer service. So I
Yes.
say that it's a luxury co-living because we are more than renting the rooms for people. We are in the concierge services. For us, it's not just business, it's personal. So you want to know the tenant to get to the level of getting to know, a close relationship, fast response, and creating these channels of communication. Also putting systems in place so then you can act fast and be able to deliver high quality accommodation. Now, I only look for properties in a very specific locations. You gotta be close to hospitals, gotta be close to transportation, it's gotta be close to universities. If
Yes.
I can get all these 3 things in the same location, that's gold. Because sometimes people, they come to us and they offer their properties to be managed. but I don't have these components nearby, then is not a candidate. It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not interested. However, we have a very large portfolio of properties that we own personally, and now some other homeowners that are bringing their properties to us to manage for them, because we do the placement, we manage the tenants, we manage the place,
Mhm.
and then they collect the capital, which in many, many cases, individuals, they are bleeding, or they were bleeding, and now they're either break even or they are even having a profit in this current market we are in, which can be a relief for a lot of homeowners.
So that's the relief that everyone's looking for, especially who owns multiple real estate investments.
When you think about, and I got a message, I got addressed, because as you're talking about it, I just remembered that yesterday somebody messaged me. They are buying a new home, or they bought a new home. There was a new construction, and is already losing money before even taking possession.
Yes.
But yesterday I was spending time with the family, so I didn't really have the opportunity to go in. But I'm gonna review the message, and I already know that the location, he might be able to get the rent, but he needs to spend some more capital to do some changes on the property to then be rentable in this model. And for some individuals, like, I can't afford to spend any more money. So then what do? That's when you get creative and you bring investors into the deal to participate in the equity, for example, right? And add-ons. So it's an interesting model. A lot of people, they think, oh, this is like babysitting adults, pretty much. But then you do a high-level concierge service, you charge for. Now people are paying for the value they are getting.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Now shifting tracks and going international to Brazil. So now I know you do it in Florida, in Ottawa area, in Ontario, and now you're also doing this in Brazil. So what pulled you into Brazil? And we'd also like to know, how is it different from the North American markets when transacting in real estate?
Yes, well, I am originally from Brazil, so that was just a natural transition for me.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm investing in Brazil now is because, one, interest rates in Brazil, they're extremely high. So if you find something at 12%, you jump on it because that's cheap in Brazil, okay? Now, in North America, you can force appreciation and access that equity to keep building your portfolio and building your wealth. In Brazil, you cannot. But there are some financial mechanisms that I can use. So I buy a property on an auction. So for example, I'm gonna give a simple example. You buy a property that is worth, let's call 300,000, and you buy that property for 150 on an auction through a bank, because it's a foreclosure, okay? And then there's one financial mechanism that the bank will give you a letter, like a credit letter, which has a value on it. Now, instead of paying 12% to finance the property, I get into this credit letter that I'm paying much less. And I mean, there's some other details that is just complicate things, but I'm just trying to make things easier. And now I get this letter that is worth 300,000. And then I use this letter to pay for the property that I just bought. So I will come up with the first 150, and I put the 150 and I buy the property that is foreclosure. I pay that one bank. Then I get this credit letter, and I go to a different institution and said, I want to pay this property from, let's say, Corporation A to Corporation B, and I want to pay using this letter. Okay, the property is worth 300. You have a 300,000 letter. Okay, let's take the letter. However, how much capital did I actually invest it on? 150. So now I have the property. I paid back the first 150. Now I have another 150 to work with. And I rinse and repeat.
Okay, that's a little confusing to get in there.
That's what I'm saying. The system there is
yes,
it's different financial system, but in a very high level, you buy something that is for half of the price, and then you pay for, then you get a credit letter.
Yes.
Pay that out for the market value.
Yes.
And now you have more capital in your pocket to do it again.
Wow. Wow. But that's really a good way to quickly turn off, like quickly turn the units or the property for a very massive value
Yes.
and
Yes.
build quite a lot of capital in a few transactions,
A
like
few
a lot of
transactions
capital.
starting with virtually no capital, right?
Yes. Yes. And you do all these transactions from here, or
Yes, I
go?
do from here. Yes. And my
Oh, wow.
brother is a mortgage broker in Brazil, but he lives in Orlando. So he
Okay.
runs his business, has a whole team there.
Yes.
And occasionally I have to go there, but again, because I know the region that I am investing very, very well, I grew up there. So it's very
Yes.
easy to make quick decisions where to invest and how to invest and who is my target.
Yes.
And then it's different than buy and hold, though, because here in
Okay.
Canada it's long-term buy and hold.
Yes.
US is short and mid-term cash flow, and
Yes.
Brazil is turnaround. Is literally
Okay.
create a lot of capital to then invest in the other markets, right? So those
Okay.
are strategies that I'm working on.
Yes.
Again, the capital is not there yet, like in my hand, sitting in my bank account, which I love to, but it will come. Because again, you take action, that will create momentum. The momentum will create the opportunities.
Absolutely. So one last question that I would like to ask about the differences. You find it easier to, from here, invest in, like, of course, Canada and the US, or the Brazil? I know everything can nowadays be done virtually because of the technology, but if you were to start all over again and you had a little bit of capital and raise capital from your friends and family, however, right? Where would you invest in today, like considering today's market, or if you were to do it all over again?
I would do the exact same way that I'm doing. The only thing I would change is the focus. Because when
Okay.
I started, I focused on the home run.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, became a good friend, which is a very successful entrepreneur. And I asked him, if you could give an advice for your younger self, what would you do? What would you say?
Yes.
And he told
Yes.
me, I would tell my younger self, focus on cash flow first, then you focus on your lifestyle, then you focus on home run. So that's the only thing I would do different. It's just changing the order of things. Instead of
Yes.
going to all these doors and, oh, look at me, look how many doors I have, which means nothing because that's all paper, right?
Yes.
Now, suffering from the cash flow perspective, it's like, no, focus in the deals that you bring cash flow now, co-living. Now, I want to get some lifestyle, go to the midterm rental, go to the arbitrage, and now I want to go to the
Yes.
home runs. Now I want to buy the 20, 30, 50, 100 units in this order. That's the only thing I would do differently.
That's a good thought. Thank you very much, Sandro. Okay. And I'm amazed like how mindset can change and do things for you, which sometimes you don't even think about, right? That is something that we definitely learned from your journey, especially now when you started. Now you're doing it in 3 countries, and of course the times are bad, but it's bad for everyone. But still, you're able to cope up and pivot with different strategies, working with these investments of yours. Really, really great.
You know, one thing that I just comes to my mind, because I'm looking to myself here on the videos, like, oh my goodness, I lost a lot of weight. Yes, in the past 3 months, I lost 30 pounds. And people are
Wow.
asking me, are you sick? No, I'm not sick. Oh, okay. Well, like how? What did you do? What did you do to lose all this weight? So it was
Yes.
a combination of a few things. One is the willpower, because I cannot be here talking about wealth and mindset if I'm not taking care of my mind, my body, and my soul.
Yes.
And the trigger for me was the day that my wife comes home with a pair of pants that she said was for me. There was 2 numbers over the numbers that I used to wear. And I looked at the pants like, who is this enormous pants? So that's for you. You need new pants. And no, I don't. No, try. And I tried. And guess what? It fit. It's like, no, I refuse. This is a trap. I will not wear. Losing weight is cheaper. It's harder, but it's cheaper. And it's not the value itself. If I put myself in that position to accept the reality that the number was my new number, it's from there keep going up. It's like, nope. Water intake, I drink 4 liters of water a day. So you can
Wow.
see here, 4 liters of water a day. I exercise at least 40 minutes every day. I count calories. So everything I eat, I count. And intermittent fasting.
Yes.
And I did it. I'm down 30 pounds in 3 months. Now, say, oh, I lost 30. I want to lose another 10. And I'm going to do it. Right? So again, it ties to mindset. So then I can do anything I put my mind to it.
Absolutely. Now, mindset is the biggest contributor for success. Whatever you want to do, like in real estate, not in real estate, whatever, sports, health, I think mindset plays the vital role in anything that you wish to accomplish.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes.
Very good. Very good. Well, Sandro, it was really a pleasure.